take the looking glass and you move it, right, towards outside of you, right? When we saw before about like with that heart that's expanding into the roles, right? In those roles as husband, where do I see my life? Okay, I've got a love language. I want to honor my wife. I've got that rule that my first thought each day is how do I make my wife's life better, right? Rule number 2 is that quitting is not an option. Rule number 3, refer back to rule number 2. And that's it. That's literally that's my rules for my marriage. I put that in place before I was married, not under stress or anything else. Right? Wake up each day and think about what's going to be better for that woman. Right? No matter what goes on, can't quit. That's for me. Right? And then the voice inside said, "No, you're wrong. You got to quit." Right? Because things happen. Right? But so now we look at that. Each area of your life, those roles you're playing. What could you see as being a possibility for yourself, right? As far as bringing yourself to a fuller life. And what's that key question that helps you to see? If there are no rules and you cannot fail, what does your ideal life look like? When we're new to this game, simple instruction is we need to take this question each night before we go to bed for 3 minutes. 3 minutes on the timer. At the end of the timer, you stop thinking and you write down whatever came to mind. This is a very important process because, one, you've created a boundary, a discipline over yourself. Because when you ask your brain a question, it's going to continue to want to work on that. Okay? So now you've got it started. On the conscious level, when you take something of an idea and you write it, you have completed that cycle. It is something which is handled. It's part of the process of getting things done. It's no longer sitting there floating around as an unattended possibility. It has been accounted for. Now, when you explore this question to begin with, you might have like very little. I want to go to the beach. That's what I did. That's why I went to the beach 2 weeks ago to Long Island. I started the summer on the beach in Fort Lauderdale at my daughter's house, and I went to my sister's afterwards. Right? Beach. Squirrel. Right? And mind you, when I tell you that all, maybe I didn't say it to you, that this is a winnable game, right? I am like the most ADHD guy on the planet. And if I can harness this thing, right, anything can be done. Seriously. Okay? So you put that down. Now, why do you do this before you go to bed? Come on. What happens when you sleep? You dream. That's right, Christy. You dream. Your brain works on a level underneath your thinking brain, right? And when you're asking yourself a good question and you put the beginning of an answer in there, right? It just gets mesmerized by that. It just wants to work with that, right? And now what are we doing? We're getting beyond, because things came into us, right, as a belief, right? Wasn't necessarily reasoned in there. You're going to help yourself to reason out of that. And the next day, right, that beach might be a house on the beach with a dog that I can walk along the sand. Right? It could fill up with a whole bunch of different ideas. And each day by day, that you clarify this, the closer and closer you're getting to your truth. Getting closer and closer to that. What I truly believe is that when you ask yourself deep, important questions, and especially one of the most fundamental, like I said, the most powerful question I've ever experienced, right? What happens is that you are drilling down into your DNA. Okay? Your DNA has that blueprint for all of your expression. And one of the things that modern science has found, when I was a kid, like 10, 11 years old, I remember this whole thing in the 70s was this nature versus nurture, and nurture versus nature, right? And I just was like, you know, the impossible child. And I was like, but it's both, right? And it's like, no, and you know, whatever, because behavioristic viewpoints were very prevalent at the time. And it turns out that little Kenny T was right, okay? Because what we know is that the way that you think and the way that you act, right, actually influences the expression of your DNA. It changes it. It's not a permanent blueprint. It's what's called malleable. But deep down, if you can start to get into touch with what is your baseline programming, right? Father Bruce said to me, he did the Strange Spotter. What was it? Right on? Is that what he said? It was like, it was spot on, I think is how you said it, right? That was the same experience that I had with it, right? And then you look into the other questions that are inside there. And, you know, what can I do with this information?